Scott Golden with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the @POPerception Twitter account. Today we're going to talk about embracing failure. Embrace failure. It's a weird saying, but yet people must do it in order to be able to be successful in life, because when one runs from the perception that they have failed, they will not take as many chances or create as many opportunities for themselves as they naturally would. The trouble with this is most people are conditioned to believe that falling short of their expectations is something to be avoided rather than to be embraced. And when that is the belief that a person holds, what happens is they begin to look for reasons why that they shouldn't take that risk or talk to that person or do the thing that's uncomfortable. But here's the thing: when you are looking to advance your life, confronting a fear of failure and embracing failure is the best thing you can do, because when one falls short of their expectations, it is that they can make adjustments for the future. It is in those moments that they can make adjustments for things yet to happen or opportunities yet to come. When you begin to understand the value of everything that you do from a deeper level, you can then also understand the value of falling short of your own expectations. If a relationship, for example, falls short, and I work with so many people who are looking for that life partner, and they grieve for a great length of time every relationship that fails. The embracing of that failure, though, is super important, because what it means is that someone who is of greater value to that particular client can come into their existence. When we grieve the loss of a job, it means that ultimately another job can come along that is better suited for the skills, talents, and abilities of a person. When we embrace failure, we also embrace the ability to learn and see better being ahead. When something greater can happen for us, it is in that moment that growth and expansion takes place. When we embrace failure, what we're really embracing is the opportunity to grow, change, and evolve away from things that ultimately are either that we have outgrown or that have outgrown us. In other words, when a person is constantly in a growth mindset and a progress mindset, as we teach here on the Golden Opportunities Coaching channel, what they're really looking for is a constant opportunity to move life forward, a constant opportunity to get to a level and level up in life. You should not fear failure, instead fear regret, because regret is the ultimate failure. Regret is an emotion that will hold you back. It will make you think that the best is behind you. It will cause you to believe that what matters is where you've been, not where you are. And it can be very difficult to deal with regret, because you have to go in and repurpose it with every action you take, which can be really quite difficult when you don't have the view to be able to get there. When you embrace failure, what you're also doing is giving yourself permission to reevaluate the things that are working for you as well as the things that are not. The things that we set out to do in the beginning often don't work for us, but we try to force ourselves to be ready or force ourselves to be in alignment with what we said we were going to do to begin with, and sometimes that doesn't work. Most often what happens is a person will take on a job, they'll take on a relationship, they'll take on a responsibility, they'll take on parenthood, they'll take on all sorts of things, and then all of a sudden they'll realize this isn't for me. And instead of admitting that to themselves and allowing themselves to be who they truly are, which would allow a person to live authentically, allow a person to live powerfully, they'll try to make themselves be something they're not in the effort to attempt to make other people happy or to follow through on what they said they were going to do. The problem with that becomes they are not living an authentic life. How many people in your life do you know that are in relationships that are unhappy? It's because they haven't embraced the failure of that relationship to be in alignment. How many people in your life do you know that would like to quit their job? You know, a recent study said that 77% of people in the United States are dissatisfied with their employment status or their employer. So think about that. Over 3 out of every 4 people have some level of dissatisfaction. That's because they haven't embraced that their employment status isn't the definition of who they are, and also they haven't embraced that an employer can't lead to or bring happiness if it doesn't exist within them as a person. I understand the practicalities of needing to work. I understand the practicalities of having to pay bills, but if you're not living with passion, if you're not living on purpose, then eventually you will fail yourself in every conceivable way because you have tried to force yourself to be something you're not. Living an authentic life requires you to show up every day. Be willing to evaluate the things that aren't working. Allow yourself to see the realities of the ideas you had that didn't come to fruition. Retool them, repurpose them, put the energy somewhere else. Begin to see that your life is a constant evolution and not a definition of success or failure based on certain actions. When you begin to see yourself as capable of understanding that everything you do matters, but it only matters as much as you give it power to, then and only then will you begin to understand that where you put your focus will determine the success that you have. And when you embrace the fact that you're not ordained to do certain things, you're not naturally wired to do everything that it takes to run a business, you can also farm out to others who are more ordained for it, who are more naturally equipped for it, the opportunity to be of service. You see, here's the thing. Jim Rohn once said, if you really want to get everything you want out of life, make sure that other people get what they want out of life. In other words, if you really want everything out of your life, then make sure to help others reach their goals. It's so important that you understand that one failure can lead to success at a later point when you begin to kind of remodel and remap and re-identify what it is you're trying to do. You know, if a person is in the gym and they're constantly ready to lift weights or constantly ready to get fit, if they quit the first time it's uncomfortable, if they quit the first time it hurts, if they quit the first time they can't do an exercise or their form is off, they will never reach the goal. But it's through the failure to do things consistently that the most progress is lost. Every bit of progress that we take requires consistency. And embrace the fact that there will be times you fall short of your own expectations of yourself. Don't run from this fact like most people do. Instead, embrace that fact. Give yourself permission to have an off day, but not an off life. You see, here's what happens. Most people who are in anxiety and depression, they ultimately think that their life is a definition of the fact that they haven't reached a goal yet, the fact that they haven't done what they wanted to do yet, the fact that they're not where they think they should be yet. And then they believe that the definition of yesterday has to become the definition of today, tomorrow, and forever. But when you embrace that some things aren't meant for you, maybe you're not meant to work a desk job, maybe you're not meant to be a parent, maybe you're not meant to have a office job, maybe you're not meant to have a strong relationship with your family. And I know for some people that'll be controversial, but here's the reality. The family we're born into and the family we choose can often be different. And if you stop believing that there's a perfect way to live, if you stop believing that somebody else has answers outside of you for what's right for you, you will make your life so much easier. You will make your life so much more complete because there is not an opportunity to grow if you're trying to live someone else's life. What would it take for you to show up in your own life? What would it take for you to be present in your own experience every day, all day? What would it take for you to say, here's where my strengths lie, here's where my weaknesses lie, and here is where I would like to grow? If you embrace your ability to fail forward. In other words, it is not a failure if you've learned something from it. It is not a failure if you've gained knowledge, if you've gained wisdom, if you've learned to discipline yourself. Discipline does not mean punishment. Discipline means consistency of action set out for a goal, and when you inspire discipline within yourself, you give yourself a chance to do more than you ever imagined possible. But sometimes it is the times when you believe at most that you have the ability to do things you can't, or do things you couldn't before, or do things that are uncomfortable or unimaginable, and you fall short and you feel uncomfortable, and then you learn another way to do it. See, be flexible. That's the most important thing you can ever be, is flexible with yourself. There are a million ways to get to one pathway. There's a million ways to get to success, but you can define what your success is. Also understand that you have subconscious rules that govern how you live from a habitual status and a habitual mind. Those rules that basically you use when you're unconsciously living, the same part of the brain that deals with things like driving a car and going to the store without having to think about every turn, also makes you react in a way of habit in certain social situations. Embrace the fact that your beliefs, your habits may not be working for you. If you want change in your life, change your habits, change your rituals, do the things that other people won't so you can have what other people don't. It is in the moment where you begin to accept that the way you have been raised to believe may be failing you, but that you can choose your beliefs that you gain power. When you choose to embrace your ability to evolve and grow and develop a new mindset, develop a new way of being, develop progress goals, and focus, it is then that your power is released. It is then that your power is completely set into motion. But you can only do that when you stop living for other people, stop living for the acceptance of others. Embrace the fact that some people will never see your value, they'll never see your greatness, but that doesn't mean you're not great. Embrace the fact that other people may not see your vision, but that doesn't mean your vision doesn't have value. Do not put your search for value into other people. Put your search for value in the impact that you make. Because when you live to make an impact, you can't help but succeed. But when you live to impress others, it's more likely you will fail. There's absolutely no reason to not have role models and things that you want to accomplish. But do not let them become the definition of your identity, for when they do, you will set yourself up to lose momentum almost on a consistent, continual basis. Understand that you have every talent and ability necessary to reach every goal that is within your heart's desire. For if a dream is given to you, the ability to achieve and create it is also within you. But you must be willing to understand that there will be critics, there will be doubters, there will be people who look at you and say it's not going to work, it'll never work, you're not smart enough, you're not tall enough, you're not pretty enough. Take every bit of criticism, use it as fuel to the fire. Fuel to the fire to change your perspective. They can have their criticism, but it doesn't have to be the definition of who you are. Long ago, I had a client who was told they'd never make it to a certain level in the entertainment industry. I worked with them over a decade from a foreign country, foreign to the United States. And they fought and they clawed and they did what was said they would never do. When they hit national television a few years back, the first thing they said was simply, "You believed." And I embraced every failure, every moment where I heard a no. It didn't mean it was the end. But how did you believe? And I said, because your energy and the essence of who you are came through in the fact that you would find your way. It might have taken you over a decade to find it, but you found it. And it's not a competition. The illusion of competition steals most people's progress in ways that critics often can, but the inner self-talk steals more than any one person ever can. So understand that as you begin to move towards your goals, life will seem hard, but in reality, it's quite easy. All you've got to do is keep working, keep hustling, keep grinding, make your life work for you. See the millions of ways that you can make progress. Join this progress tribe. As I close for today, I remind you, life coach Scott Golden, and we are on the march to 100 subscribers. When we get there, we're going to give away a $350 value, a 1-month coaching package with our company. And more information as we get closer to that. I remind you, like, comment, subscribe, give us a comment about how you have fallen short of your own expectations and how that turned out to be something positive for you. But until next time, I encourage you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.